Howdy everyone, this is Sky High Ken and welcome back to a brand new video. Now, before I even start, I want to make something very clear. AI has both really helped me and hindered me in a lot of ways, and on a personal level, it's really helped me really organize my thoughts and structuring what I want to say. And I'm not the best at public speaking. I tend to get very flustered and lose my train of thought whenever I'm making these types of videos, and AI actually helps me stay grounded and communicate more clearly. But on the other hand, it's also made things like finding a job way more difficult, and especially how heavily AI is being pushed into job requirements and the hiring process. It gets really annoying. So whether you love it or absolutely hate it, most of us have already been really impacted by AI in some way, shape, or form. And whether that's the job market, budgeting tools, fitness coaching, or just everyday apps, AI is everywhere right now, and it's not slowing down. And at this point, pretending AI is just some passing trend or calling it, a cancer to society is just honestly fighting an uphill battle. The technology has really advanced so far that it's basically becoming its own field, kind of like math, science, or engineering at the very least, or like a major subcategory of modern technology. And the reality is simple. AI is here to stay. It's only going to become more integrated into everyday lives. Now, recently, graduation season happened for a lot of students around the world, and people are starting to get really upset over speeches that heavily focused on AI and how it's supposedly going to shape the future. And one of the biggest clips making the rounds came from Eric Schmidt, where he was speaking at the University of Arizona. And for those of you that don't know who Eric Schmidt is, he's the ex-Google CEO, which he was a major figure within Google, essentially. And in this clip I'm about to show you, a lot of people are actually booing him mainly because it feels out of touch. I'll let y'all watch the video first to kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about.
There is a fear. There is a fear in your generation that the future has already been written, that the machines are coming, that the jobs are evaporating, that the climate is breaking, that politics is fractured, and that you are inheriting a mess that you did not create. But I want to say something to you this evening as clearly as I can. To speak of the future as though it has already been decided is to surrender the one thing that actually matters. You are surrendering your agency.
Yeah, honestly, I understand why students were booing throughout this whole speech. Well, partly of it. If you're giving a speech about AI to students majoring art, English, journalism, humanities, or social science, I understand that it comes off as satirical, and a lot of those students are sitting there realizing they just entered industries that already felt unstable, and now AI is making that even more uncertain for them. It's like at this point, a lot of universities and institutions aren't even sugarcoating it anymore, where they're pretty much just saying that. It feels like they're basically telling students essentially, if you don't adapt to AI, then you're probably not gonna get far as far as you thought you would. Now, granted, maybe I'm wrong about that interpretation. I'm just not sure. But whether I am or not, feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. And if you're enjoying the video so far, leave a like and subscribe for more. But this is where things start to feel a bit scummy, because these are the same institutions that spent years branding these degrees as a guaranteed pathway into meaningful careers, while also encouraging 18-year-olds to pretty much take on massive student loans they may spend decades paying off. And I'm not against education or learning at all, but I do think a lot of students feel misled, especially granted from the education system that they've been told, earn a degree and get this, especially with now how these speeches are pretty much telling them that, hey, AI is going to take over the world. And, honestly, I think that's the big reason why people just reacted the way they did during that speech. For one, many students feel like they were sold a different reality. Two, they're now carrying debt with no guaranteed pathway, and they're stuck in a cycle where they have to work for larger companies just to stay afloat. And three, even if they do land a job, there's no guarantee the work environment matches what they expect or that the career itself will remain stable long enough. And yeah, I do think the job market for fields like art, journalism, and other creative industries has become more competitive and uncertain because of AI. That part's just a reality, which does suck. And at the same time, though, as frustrating as CEOs and university leaders can sound, they're not completely wrong either. Companies absolutely want AI integrated into their business models because it saves time, reduces cost, and increases efficiency. But they make it feel like it's marketing. You know what I mean? Everything suddenly becomes AI powered, or your phone is AI, or your search engine is AI, your fridge is AI, your freaking dog is AI at this point. At a certain point, it stops sounding like innovation and starts sounding more like a non-stop sales pitch, trying to justify billions of dollars being poured into the industry. And that's why these speeches, they just feel really out of touch. Mainly because, again, these students, it doesn't sound like inspiration. It just sounds like, yeah, you probably picked the wrong degree. You should have gone into cloud engineering or something AI related. And now, I also want to be clear on this. You absolutely can still succeed without completely becoming dependent on AI or letting giant corporations dictate your future. In fact, I actually encourage people to think outside that traditional get a degree, get a corporate job, work forever formula mindset. More people should consider building their own businesses, learning specialized skills, or creating something that actually provides real human value. I know that's a lot to say, especially in the world where we're in the age of information overloading, but that's just part of it. We have that already at our hands. It's easier said than done, of course. Now, because despite all the AI hype, people still value that interaction, creativity, personality, and real expertise. Again, that's why I preach that. But the trade-off is that you can't really coast anymore. You have to actually become skilled at what you do. And personally, the last thing I want is for more massive corporations like Google, Meta, or Amazon to completely control the direction of work, technology, and everyday life. A lot of young people, especially Gen Z, are tired of giant corporations making all the decisions while ordinary workers and communities get pushed to the side. It is the capitalistic way and society that, we operate, which for that is fine. I understand that. I'm not here to say that, capitalism is bad or anything. That comes to this point too that I want to say. The reality is, these companies will always prioritize growth, profit, AI expansion, and infrastructure like data centers over everything else. What's especially frustrating about this, of course, is the inconsistency. Universities and corporations often tell students or workers don't use AI or be ethical with AI, while simultaneously using it themselves for hiring, filtering candidates, and automating decisions. It becomes a clear do as I say, not as I do situation. And I actually have another final clip where a university system glitches while using AI to call out names and ends up skipping people entirely, which just adds to that frustration.
This is why we have critical thinking skills going on. Graduates, everyone who is standing, here's what's happening. We're using a new AI system as our reader. Yep. So that is a lesson learned for us. What we were able to do, though, is each of you were able...
Still, because of all that, I think the bigger takeaway is this. We need to become more adaptable and skilled across multiple areas, not just tech, but things like supply chain, communication, emotional intelligence, science, and law. Basically, at a broader skill set that makes people harder to replace and more valuable overall. If your mindset was ever just get a degree and you're guaranteed a job, then yeah, I don't think that's going to hold up anymore. At this point, you can't afford to be blindsided. And I think that frustration is exactly why so many students reacted the way they did during that speech. We're criticizing a system that wasn't fully built for us, but we still have to adapt to it. Again, I don't want it to be a point where it's that young 18-year-olds take the formula once again where they go into college and then they accept a degree where they have to pay it off, because it sounds like a more modern slave trap in the same realm of getting a car. They're both valuable and they both do have some form of reward at the end of the day, but it's kind of that outcome that you're trying to look for. That's why I think it's once again out of touch of reality for these major institutions and these CEOs just to really hound down that idea of AI, that idea that, it's just a sales pitch at this point again. So with that said, if you enjoyed this video, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Whether you think I'm out of touch or if you're feeling the same way, leave a like, subscribe to Sky High Ken. I'll see everyone in the next video. Take care. I love you all. Goodbye.